everything is changing right now. And I want you to focus on this. The stuff that we couldn't talk about before is now being talked about at levels in and levels of depth we have not imagined. We know what's interesting and we know what's not interesting. And we are focusing on so many things right now, my friends. I saw a picture of Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson, for a long time. Remember, he was crazy. He was a lunatic. Now he's here. The pronoun story. The pronoun, this lunacy of pronouns. Nobody believes it. Nobody gives it a second of thought. It's insanity. But it's still there. It's still there. And I keep thinking, I have this thing which I constantly refer to. It's me in the future looking back and explaining to somebody what I saw or what I experienced or what happened then. Little things that only I knew. Maybe I'm speaking in this thought experiment before a history class, and I'm telling you, you're not going to understand something. We actually worried about pronouns. And we don't know where it came from, but there is a thing that we've noticed. There is these various instances of momentum that come out of nowhere. And we don't know why people find themselves doing it. Then there was a guy named Dylan Mulvaney, I think, who has this idea that men should be able to or should avail themselves of tampon products. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. Tampon products. And I don't know, I can't even show you this clip because I get physically ill, psychically derailed when I see this over the top, silly nonsense. If I were to tell somebody, okay, in this scene, I want you to play an over the top, stereotypical gay guy, really do it to the point of being, well, almost to the point of being kind of stereotypical, to the point of being offensive. I really want you to do this. I want you to just come on and just be over the top, but stupidly flamboyant, not just a little bit, but really go nuts. That's what this fellow is. And after everything, after Bud Light collapsed, he's still here. And I'm thinking to myself, do you know what that means? It means that if you think that these people are going away, if you think that we can claim some form of victory in this, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. I want to tell you one thing, a story that happened, which you may have forgotten about. But I want to discuss this today. I want to discuss it because I think it's fascinating. And I think it is something that, frankly, is worthy of our time. It was about Peanut the squirrel. Now, when I say that, you think of maybe, Chuckles the clown or something. It was one of the most important messages and one of the first times where kids learn the lunacy of government. I know you're thinking I'm kidding. I know you think I'm kidding. I could not be more serious. When we look back and the little things that happened that they never thought about, it's like when you saw the movie Bambi or something as a kid, how it affected. Kids will never forget that. And they will never forget the fact that a government did that to this innocent little squirrel. And it is so, hear me out, emblematic of the horrors of the world that we live in. So let me tell you something right now. You're going to think I have lost my mind. And then you're going to say, you know what? He's right. And speaking of losing their mind, remember when they came after Mike Lindell because he dared to support the president? Do you remember that? I do. When it comes to comfort, support, and a good night's sleep, my friends, My Pillow has revolutionized the way millions of Americans rest their heads with unmatched quality, cutting-edge design, and a commitment To American-made excellence, MyPillow has become a household name. And now with mypillow.com/Lionel or using the promo code Lionel, you can unlock exclusive discounts and deals that bring comfort and savings right to your doorstep. That's right, my friend. Mike Lindell and the team in MyPillow aren't just selling pillows. They're on a mission to transform the sleep experience with a wide variety of products beyond their signature pillows. Whether you're looking for supportive adjustable pillows, luxurious Giza dream sheets, cozy towel, mattress toppers that cradle your body in comfort, MyPillow offers it all. And with their 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty, you can be confident that MyPillow stands behind every product they sell. Now, why MyPillow stands out? Let me tell you, unlike generic pillows you grab off a department store shelf, MyPillow is customizable and engineered to cater to different sleep styles. Whether you're a side sleeper or a back sleeper or a stomach sleeper, their patented interlocking fill technology adjusts to your specific comfort needs, keeping your neck and spine properly aligned throughout the night. No more waking up with that sore neck, no more tossing and turning, just the restful, rejuvenating, and exhilarating sleep that you deserve. And it doesn't stop at pillows. MyPillow's Giza Dream Sheets, made from the finest Egyptian cotton, offer a smooth, breathable, and luxurious feel, turning your bed into a sleep heaven. So right now, my friends, do the right thing. Go to mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. It's easy for me to say, mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965. Simply the best. Trust me. I have been kind of doing the old toe in the water to find out, is it safe? I don't want to do Marathon Man again. Is it safe? Is it safe for us to maybe talk about this stuff? I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. I've been doing more and more. I have a private channel at lionelmedia.com. There was an event that took place in D.C. involving a subject matter that was named after a certain favorite Italian food stuff, a type of wonderful delivery item, and that theme, that word, was saturated and became a part of our collective being. Do you know what I'm saying? I can't talk about that here a little bit. Joe Rogan, be very careful. But this particular event, this particular event had a name, was a nickname, and it involved people, and the story was so fascinating that they immediately jumped on you to shut up and stand down. They didn't, and I don't want to get into this. I don't want to get into it. But you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. It's not safe yet. But we know about this. When I'm doing things on Anne Heche. Do you know the story behind Anne Heche? It will blow you up. Michael Hastings, Seth Rich. Do you know these stories? Do you know the facts? It will blow your mind. You will not believe how people have never explained this to you. You see, what I do very, very well, and I'm not bragging, I just know this professionally. I can get to the punchline and say things in a way that make people feel that they've figured it out versus me telling them. I'm going to talk about this peanut to squirrel. See, this is one of those things that people think. Rosa Parks, after all the bullshit that people went through, the Edmund Pettus Bridge and oh my God, the fire hoses and the dogs. Selma, I mean, this Rosa Parks, sit down. I'm not going to move. That's it. They went crazy. People walking around, my arms broken, eyes missing, hanged, lynched. But Rosa Parks, Jesus God, that's the lunch counter stuff was so symbolic. People were out there getting beaten, but they were like, they're at the Woolworths counter. What I'm saying is sometimes things affect us. And listen to me. If you really want to get into this, do yourself a favor and listen. Listen to what's going on. Don't be like Mutt. What is he talking about? See, there's always a Mutt out there. And Mutt, we're not going to blame you. You may be new to this. You don't know how much we've been through. You don't know what we know. Now, in this, there are people who go so far off the tracks. I did yesterday on Lionel Media, on my private thing, I talked about things like the Wiener laptop. And you will not believe, not what I debunk, but what I'm saying, that's not what you think happened. There is another thing too, which is such a complete bullshit. Bullshit. It took off like a firestorm. And it involved a storyline from Hunter Thompson. And people went berserk. I'm like, no, stop. Let me explain something to you. And please, listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. Maybe sometimes people should just kind of stop talking for just a moment. There are things that happen. Have you ever heard of a hysteric reaction? An hysteric reaction. You ever hear this? Anybody? Does Mutt know? Mutt, do you know about this, Mutt? Huh? Mutt, a hysteric. Is it a hysteric or an hysteric? Or an Haish? We'll get to that in a moment. Do you understand that? That's right, you heard me. These are sonic messages. This is the particular frequency. It's like an audio QR code. You understand what this is. An hysteric reaction among people refers to an intense, exaggerated, kind of a collective emotional response that's often characterized by panic and irrationality and a loss of critical thinking. Sound familiar? This is the essence of so much of what we're doing. So many people are involved exactly in that. Do you hear what I'm saying? Exactly. This is very, very critical stuff. Let me explain to you how this works. It's fueled by fear, by misinformation, by mass anxiety. And we're seeing it now in a new form in this collective sort of social media scrum. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's a scrum. It's fascinating. And it can lead to overreactions that escalate beyond the initial event's actual significance. And what social media also does, it creates this collective panic. Do you remember when the Beatles came about? And regular people, there were some before. Some of them were coached and pushed by folks. The Frank Sinatras, and, Bobby Soxers, Elvis, but not the Beatles. Not the Beatles. Women were losing their minds. And it started off at first, believe it or not, yes, it was contrived. Yes, it was. You understand this? This is very, very good. Oh, by the way, let me just say something very special. Hello. Ricardo says, Peanut, the squeak heard around the world indeed. And also, Raul says, I bought the book How We Die. It's a gem. It's fascinating. This is Sherwin Newland. This is Victoria Newland's father. And it will demystify death. It makes death seem very, very... I just had my old pal, fraternity brother, died just recently. It's just so sad. Everybody's talking about him and we miss him. And I'm just looking at pictures and thinking back of, him. And the death part is very, very simple. I hate to say it, but it's very, very simple. And the part of it is demystifying. But let me go back to what's going on right now. There are people who are sitting back and they want you to be a part of this thing called a conspiracy. It wasn't Alex Jones, but to an extent, Alex found these people. Let me give you an example of some hysterical reactions. First of all, the moral panic. This was one. When society reacts in a sense that's disproportionate or disproportionately to a perceived threat. For example, the satanic panic of the 1980s, remember that, were baseless fears of widespread satanic ritual abuse gripped the U.S. Gripped, and to an extent we see it now. There was no basis for this, but it doesn't matter. Or there's mass hysteria. This is when a group of people experiences uncontrollable anxiety or some psychosomatic symptoms without a clear medical case. For example, the Salem witch trials. Remember paranoia leading to false accusations and executions. This is, the Crucible was about that. Social media frenzies. This is really important. Outrage cycles where misinformation or exaggeration or whatever, it spreads rapidly, leading to cancel culture attacks or extreme public reactions, viral hoaxes maybe, but also people who were told, get on this guy. You see, the left had it done perfectly. They would pick someone that they did not like. And they would say, for example, okay, Trump is a problem, yes. 2, let's pick up MAGA, MAGA, as our target, okay? We're going to say MAGA is a form of radicalized racism, social abuse, whatever it is. And those people who exhibit this and who are part of MAGA are part of a white supremacist, write this down, conspiratorial, good, okay, MAGA. Then we're going to pick up the phone, call Snopes or whoever, and say, I want you to put in that MAGA is a part of a white supremacist right wing, good. Fact check, good. Write an article. You got this? This is all USAID, by the way. Write me an article on how MAGA is a celebration of white supremacist hatred and the like. Got it. Check. Good. Okay. You got it? Good. Now, Wikipedia, put in MAGA and start to cement this thing. He's a part of the MAGA movement. That's MAGA for you. You know those MAGA people, this, next thing you know, pick up the phone. ABC, CNN, it becomes a part of our collective vernacular. People will refer to it. We send out the talking points to all of the Democratic politicians whom they own, and they say that. Do you see where we're going with this? Do you see? And it keeps going. And pretty soon, immediately, MAGA becomes something, and you say, no. And then, if you use the word MAGA, you're shut down from social media platforms, you're demonetized, deplatformed, and then people run from it. And they're wondering, what is this? It was a hashtag. No, it's not. Are you one of those MAGA people? MAGA people. Do you meet secretly? What are you talking about? Well, you know, there was a guy who went crazy with a sawed-off shotgun in Sacramento, and they went to his house, and he had all this MAGA literature. And there's always fault. You see how this thing works? You see how this works? They are so good, and it's not the left. It's not the Democrats. It's not them. It's people who are so into mind control, who understand hysteria, but it's also organized. Remember Otpor? Do you remember Otpor? OTPOR. This was during the, that Wall Street business, Liberate Wall Street and all that stuff. And Zuccotti Park and all this, these little conclaves. This was all a part of an organized group of people. Otpor, they're not so much, I think they're Serbian. You go to them and say, listen, I want to have a revolution. Okay, fine. Look at what happened with Maidan. Look at what happened with Victoria Nuland. They can do this. What I'm trying to tell you is that I can get people like this. And you have to know rudiments of how people think. Whether it's, I'm sorry to say this, religion, culture, mythology, superstition, marriage, ceremony, fears, folklore, you name it. We are so monumentally primitive. What about financial panics? This is also important. Stock market crashes caused by fear-driven selling, even when economic fundamentals don't warrant such a reaction. For example, the Great Depressions, bank runs. There's no reason for that. Hysteric reaction, it thrives on emotion rather than facts. And it also, it's making rational discussion difficult until, the frenzy dies down. And it's something which is so, so important. So I want you to understand what I'm saying. Listen to me carefully. You've got to be able to balance, to know when something is being exaggerated, but also know when they want you to keep something quiet. And this is an example of the truth. You can always tell what the truth is by how many people tell you what not to say. Don't talk about this. And somebody a long time ago said, let's take conspiracy theory as a word. This, of course, was from that, we saw in that classic CIA memorandum, the directive, which was, what was it, 79, right around the Zapruder film or something. But it basically weaponizes the notion of this. So if you, and let me tell you something, there are people, one in particular, who has done more disservice. She's very, very popular, but full of shit. And she loves being the kind of like the high priestess of danger. Let me tell you who's very good. And I respect her so much. Whitney Webb. So precise to the point of boring people. Footnotes. And she says, well, I didn't say that. Well, I didn't say that. I'm not sure about that. Very, very good. She's very, very good. So put her here. There are also people who will give you information that will send you off to maybe look into that. The most important person in the history of the JFK assassination was Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone is the most important person ever. It was a movie, and it set you off. The Beatles did more to teach people how to and why to play the guitar. Little movements, little pushes, little things in society. Alex Jones did more to open up a new way of looking at the news that nobody would have ever thought. When George Harrison brought in the sitar, introduce him here, Ravi Shankar and others. And I love that the tabla, and who is it? Oh God, this one guy, I can't remember his name, Shazane or what. Oh my gosh. It takes somebody who pushes you, just pushes you into these trends, into these. Let me tell you this story, which is the most interesting, which was so beautiful. And I'm sorry to say they didn't do enough with this, because you might think, well, this is kind of silly. Oh, no, it's not. Listen to what I'm saying. My heroes are Bernays and Mencken and, I guess, great propagandist, Gustave Le Bon, crowd theory. Those are the people that I love. Oh, I don't even care about. And to an extent, Roger Stone in his days, Atwater, Segretti, people who know how to. I don't want to give you the facts. I want your emotion. I'm not going to give you a fact. I want you to feel something. You see, I want you to feel. There have been sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's not. Let me tell you the story about Peanut. Peanut the squirrel. Even when you say that it's not, that's so stupid until you heard the story. This was a nation that mourned the loss of a tiny hero. Remember this? Let me explain it to you this way. And to get little, and when I have kids, this is terrible, but I want kids to remember this. This will forever. Why do you think the Hitler Youth was a part? I'm not trying to make a comparison. Give me kids when they're young. That's why they want to indoctrinate kids in school. You see, in a world, children, filled with divisive headlines and heavy news cycles, one small little creature managed to unite millions of us in a wave of collective heartbreak. See? Hysteric reaction. See? Groups. Peanut the squirrel. It was more than just some backyard critter, some animal. He was a symbol of resilience, innocence, and the often overlooked beauty of human-animal bonds. Who doesn't know this? I was looking at that dodo thing last night, almost broke down. This bulldog who's on a skateboard, don't get me going. People love animals. You see, I would have said, Mr. President, I want Peanut. Everybody misses Sebgorka. Everybody missed this one because it didn't sound important. I put all my money on it. In this abrupt and horrible, tragic decision, New York State officials, Big Brother, the deep state, the shadow government, the stormtroopers, the brown shirts, the shock troops, the thugs, the Pinkertons, they ordered the euthanization over a rabies scare that wasn't there, setting off a nationwide outcry that shook the internet and beyond. Do you remember this? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how this horrified me. Don't forget this. This is Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul, this was her thing. Let me tell you something. Andrew Cuomo, we'll get to that in a moment. Peanut was no ordinary squirrel. This sounds like Chuckles the Clown. Remember Mr. Peanut? He became a viral sensation after being rescued as an orphan baby by a Brooklyn couple, Jenna and Mark Sullivan. Now, their own background might be a little bit interesting, but that's a different story. The couple had no intention of keeping him as a pet. But what did they do? They bottle fed and nurtured God's little tiny creature until he was strong enough to survive on his own. Little Peanut. Imagine a kid. This is terrible to say this, but imagine kids sitting in a semicircle like this, watching you, listening to this. Their eyes. You know when a kid goes eyes, and adults too. Don't kid yourself. But something happened. Something remarkable happened. Peanut didn't leave. He fought the notion of feral. Instead of returning to the wild for good and leaving and all that, Peanut would visit their fire escape daily, greeting them in the mornings and even waiting for Jenna when she returned from work. You hear about these stories all the time. There's videos of his little antics, his little games, playfully stealing snacks, curling up for naps, chattering at their window. It captivated social media users all over the world, across platforms like TikTok and Instagram. And over time, Peanut gained this massive following, with fans tuning in daily for updates on their favorite squirrel's adventures and his hijinks and what's new in the world of Peanut. And then came government. On February the 28th, does this make any sense? A neighbor, I believe, unfamiliar with Peanut's story, reported the Squirrel. Think it was October, February. Reported the Squirrel to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, DEC. Stop Doge, Big Brother, corrupt, stormtrooper, brown shirts, jackbooted thugs. You got it? Somebody ratted Peanut out, claiming he was behaving unnaturally tame. What? Now, I don't know about you, but they said that being unnaturally tame is a sign that he could pose a rabies risk. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know anything about rabies, but I always thought how they acted crazy. Remember Old Yeller? What's wrong? Frothing in the mouth, hydrophobia. But Peanut was like chill to go, hey, how you doing? I'm Peanut. How you doing? How you doing? Oh, no. That's a sign of rabies. Too docile. What? Even though Peanut had shown no aggressive behavior, the DEC cited state laws prohibiting the rehabilitation. Listen to this. The rehabilitation and release of squirrels after extended human contact. It was the most incredible thing ever. Now, according to officials, Peanut needed to be tested for rabies. A process. Now, this is in New York. We have rats. We have rats walking around saying, how are you? They're just pigeons and rats and hantavirus. And we have coyotes, up in Central Park. They're all over the place. But this little squirrel, oh, you like him, huh? Well, we'll see about that, my pretty. So this process tragically required euthanization. They euthanized him to check and see if he had rabies. And despite desperate pleas from Jenna and Mark and the world to relocate Peanut to a sanctuary or test for rabies without killing him, they said no. Their argument? State law mandates euthanization to euthanize and test in cases of potential rabies exposure, even if the animal in question has never bitten or scratched anyone or exhibits any kind of indicia of behavior or whatever. A nation was in outrage. As the word spread, Peanut's story ignited. Do you remember this? An online firestorm. Now we're talking millions and millions of people. Animal lovers, activists, even some political figures joined the cause, demanding that New York officials reconsider their stance. Remember Peanut, he had a little cowboy hat, and then he had this. The hashtag Save Peanut and Justice for Peanut, because it's P''NUT. It trended worldwide, amassing millions of views on X, millions of views on TikTok. A Change.org petition called for Peanut's release with over 500,000 signatures in less than 48 hours. Celebrities, including well-known animal rights advocates, everybody spoke out against the decision, urging people, no, find a more humane resolution. It's Peanut. Kids writing letters, kids crying. But the pleas fell on deaf ears. On March 3rd, I'm not sure which day it was, Peanut was taken into custody and euthanized. And the results of the rabies test came back negative, confirming what his caretakers, his parents, the world had known. Peanut was perfectly healthy. The backlash was swift, brutal. And the aftermath was even more important. The decision to euthanize Peanut sparked outrage far beyond New York. Protests erupted outside DEC offices, with demonstrators holding signs that read, Peanut deserved better, and changed the law. Animal welfare organizations called for legislative reforms, arguing that these outdated rabies policies fail to account for modern veterinary science and non-lethal testing options. Remember what happened. So Jenna and Mark, during the course of this, devastated by the loss, took to social media to thank supporters and call for change. Peanut was family. This is a story. He was a part of our lives in a way we never expected. And to have him taken like this is beyond cruel. And they made money. Listen, he was a cash cow, so a little mixed metaphor, which is true, but that was okay. Jenna wrote, no animal should have to die like this when alternatives exist. We need to do better. And this just goes to show you this insanity. So there was a push for change, obviously. The case was renewed national interest over wildlife protection laws, and advocates are now pushing for the peanut bill and that sort of thing. But here is the problem, and this is the most important. And by the way, remember, veterinary experts argue that modern rabies testing, such as saliva and blood tests, could eliminate the need for euthanasia in cases like this. But outdated state laws still require invasive post-mortem brain tissue testing, which is a regulation that many see as archaic and unnecessary. Now, meanwhile, the public mourning, the collective mourning of Peanut continues. Artists have dedicated their murals in Brooklyn. Now, there's a bronze statue in his likeness is being planned in Prospect Park, and people aren't forgetting this one. But it's more than just a squirrel. This wasn't about the loss of a beloved animal. It was about the way society treats creatures we share in the world. This is about how unjust. But more importantly, it's something even bigger than that. It's the government. And the government, listen to me. Listen, dear friends, listen. The government isn't the government. The government is filled with petty bureaucrats, people drunk with power, people who have this idea that you can't tell me what to do. Do you know who I am? I have a badge. I have a gun. I have a car. We have more police in New York City. The other day we saw Amtrak police. There's big cars on Amtrak police. We have the postal police. We got the state police. We got the sheriff. We have NYPD. And then there's all kinds of Homeland Security and this and that. We have more police you can imagine. These people were so stupid, and Kathy Hochul, has got to be made responsible for this. They're so stupid. Somebody would have been smart enough to say, let me tell you something. This is a win-win-win. I am a politician by nature. I'm going to come to the rescue. Nobody is calling for the death of this. But they said, you don't understand. We are involved in this. We are the man. We are the power. We are this. I can't go into detail, but there was a case I was reading about one of these German guards that they got a hold of, and that the American troops let some of the camp folks, when it was liberated, basically exact their own vengeance. Some were hanged after trials. What they did to people was just incredible. We live in a world right now that is so evil. And you can talk about anything you want about taxes or inflation or, borders or crime. No. You have to understand, what is it that makes people think collectively? How is it that this fellow is applauded by talking about tampons for men? I don't want to get into detail. Where does a man insert this? Just let it go. Remember, sometimes the real issue is not to answer the question. Let the rhetorical question run. There was an old joke that I loved. What's another word for thesaurus? And the great Robert Trump was the only person I ever knew who understood the joke. Understood. Got it. He understood. He started laughing. I said, oh my God. Because people would say, dictionary? Because they didn't have the wherewithal to understand. No, the joke is in the statement. Just let it sink in. My mother said, and I was so great. She goes, if you can't read, you can't buy soup. One time I was a kid, we were in a store and we looked down the Campbell's soup line and we started laughing. I said, you're right. It was just red and white. You couldn't read. All right. But people today will say, oh, no, because sometimes on the Progresso, there's a picture of this. Because we're stupid people. We don't understand comedy. Listen to the level of comedy. Listen to the level of what considers comedy today. Seriously. It's so base. And it's like people want to laugh for the sake of laughing. I saw Conan O'Brien, and they were talking about, and he's very good, obviously. Was it Jim Downey? They were talking about Norm Macdonald. And Norm Macdonald, I thought, was one of the most overrated. He was an example of this. If you talk about somebody long enough, they become a genius. And you will not say, no, wait a minute. Hold it. Oh, no. And this is no disrespect to anybody who's dead. But I promise you, you can tell people anything and they will believe this. Years ago, I was doing a show on WABC. on WFLA in Tampa. And I came up with something. I found we were in this room and we had these albums. It was an old radio station, obviously, but they took all of the AL albums and they put them, and I would just go through, and I found an old Mrs. Miller. Mrs. Miller was, you might remember her from the Merv Griffin days, and she had that voice, doobie, doobie, doo. It was terrible. So I found this album, and it was warped. And so she would normally sing, doobie, doobie, doo. Well, the album was warped, and it really was. I'm surprised it didn't cancel out. In any event, so I made up the story about how she was the girl from Ipanema, and how Jobim was a towel boy on Corcovado. I called my friend Jerry Wexler, the premier from Atlantic Records, Big Joe Turner, or found Aretha Franklin, Muscle Shoals. Oh, my best friend, best vocabulary ever. I said, he said, hey man, he always had this kind of I dig what you're doing. I dig the Mrs. Miller thing. I'm going to get a hold of Mitch Miller and we can put together, and we never got off the ground, but we were going to put this thing together, how we were creating this. It's kind of like the Paul is dead thing, sort of, maybe. I don't want to go into that. But anyway, make a long story short, he got it. Mitch Miller got it. Everybody got it. But a lot of people didn't get it. They didn't get it. And a lot of the comedians today will not get it. Because it's a response to the visceral. If it's filthy and people feel, and this is my point for this, forgive me for this circuitous ramble. It's people all forcing the laugh. Conan O'Brien, some woman, who was this, and Downey, well, they were laughing so hard. Comedians in cars getting coffee. Jerry Seinfeld, because he's a comedian and because he's able to appreciate humor at levels that mere mortals can't understand because he's a comedian. Absolutely they were splitting a gut as a signal, a kind of a virtue signaling for them. Joe Rogan does it. I love him. He does it sometimes too. Why do I say this? Understand the way people think now. President Trump, you need to have a political arm. You need to have, I'm not going to ever say this, but Goebbels, or Goebbels as people mispronounce, the notion of propaganda, I even hate that term too, but to understand the theme. I said the number one issue, remember 3 issues, maximum. You only have 3 issues. Don't talk about it. Epstein, this and that. Don't forget about that. Nobody cares about that. Israel, 25%. Forget it. That's a niche thing. I'm sorry. That doesn't get people. It takes too much expression. If you can't put it on a bumper sticker, you're wasting your time. This is the thing. President Trump has to say, let me explain to you something. The next time they bring up Doge, do you know what Doge does? Doge stops government waste and fat. The same government waste and fat that killed Peanut. Remember Peanut? Yes. That little animal. Think I'm kidding? Do you know that that FDR had the Victory Garden? Do you know what the Victory Garden was? Where people would try their best to grow things for the war. They didn't need that. There was no need for that. We were doing fine. But he wanted you to be involved. Sebastian Junger talked about PTSD. During World War II, when people used to meet in the London in the Tube at night, and I remember reading how they were the bombings of the Germans, and the smell, no ventilation, the smell of the heat. You know that smell of humans packed together, that heat and sweat. It's not bad, but it's just the heat. It's just clothes and must, and people were sleeping with feet here, and the amount of PTSD was next to nothing because they felt involved and they felt a part of something. We are forgetting something here. MAGA, I love MAGA. Doge, good. Give me 2 things. Elon Musk, great. You must remove things to a very simple idea. Very, very, very simple. I told you this before, and I'm going to tell you again. What changed my life was working with and hearing, going to meetings with Gordon Soley, hearing the bookers, going to see the finishes and the way the referee would work and the angles. And this was before Eddie Graham. I never met Eddie Graham, but he was a genius. And it was the angle, and it was the heat, and it was the story. I would have played and still done. My story would be, let me draw your narrative. Remember Wag the Dog? One of the most important movies ever. Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro, where he says, okay, and they come up with this. I love propaganda. I love the stories of this. I love the Medal of Honor is more about propaganda than you can imagine. The psyop to create, I don't want to keep bringing up Hitler, but he did it. We did it. What's this one? Flag, the Uncle Sam Needs You, and the Aryan pictures, and then Russia had theirs. What is we're becoming lost to this. I'm going to talk about something which will freak these people out. When you see, number one, let me go back. The Peanut story is about government encroachment. It is about the constriction of rights, the evaporation and the ruination of rights. Big Brother, big unfeeling, Peanut would be, I'd say Peanut. And what I love is when somebody goes, got it. Advertising, Bernays, Mencken, Marshall McLuhan, again, Plato, Aristotle, the whole notion of Thomas Paine, common sense, rousing somebody. Timothy the Great Speechmaker. Watch Fidel Castro speak. I don't care if you understand what he's saying. Just watch him. Donald Trump, genius. I don't care what anybody says. There's something that happens. And I was thinking about this. There is I think it's, YouTube. There's a guy named Vivaldi. I think it's Quebec. Have you seen this guy, Vivaldi? He's kind of an ordinary guy. He's a chef. Here's how we make our clams oreganata from Quebec, Canada. Unbelievable. I love this guy. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. He does it. He does this. Have you seen the crispy crust? Crispy crust. What's his name? Is it Frank? What is his name? The owners. He's got a great name. What is it? Freddie, excuse me. Palazzolo. Palazzo. Palazz. Like pizza, 2 Z's. Palazzolo. And his son Joe. But Freddie Palazzolo. I think he's in Brooklyn. This guy, now just hear me out. If I told you about him, you would say, what are you talking about? He does this thing where he acts like he's a very dark, slick, very Italian, very classic New York. And he talks like this. You know, Joe, today we're going to make some pinwheels. Your grandfather, the key, you got to let the dough proof. He never smiles, but you love him. He's serious. God damn it, it's pizza. Crispy crust. Today we're going to make a vodka sauce. You understand what I'm saying? Joe, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, Dad. Your grandfather came in from Sicily. And one time, remember the time we got Angelo in the cooler? I don't know what. I get him. That's your ad. That's it. Don't put him on TV. This guy is just phenomenal. I don't know why. I have no idea. Then we got Vivaldi. They go, hi. We're going to make our clam. Make sure if they don't open, you don't eat them. Okay. What am I talking about? I'm saying that it just connects. And Donald Trump connects. Donald Trump sometimes, if you listen, this is the most stupid speech, he connects. Shut up. Let him go. Let him go. Whatever he does it. Don't let him. And what I'm afraid of is that we need him more. Talk about peanut. I'm not going to forget. Pass the peanut law now. Crush. If I see Kathy Hochul, I just hold up. I mean, this is okay. I mean, this is a little tortuga, a little turtle from California. It's listen to this. It's a refrigerator magnet, but they're all aluminum, so they don't stick anymore. I say, what is this thing? Anyway, but let's assume this is peanut. Just work with me. If Donald Trump says, let me tell you about Kathy Hochul, okay? And bring in Freddie. What do you think, Freddie? Kathy Hochul killed Peanut. She's got the blood of Peanut on her hands. Peanut never hurt anybody. Peanut was adorable. Little kids loved Peanut. Here's Peanut with a cowboy hat. Never hurt anybody. But the jackbooted thug. Kathy Hochul can say whatever you want. Go, Peanut. The same woman that rat bastard who killed Peanut. That's it. You talk about. You think I'm kidding? Talk about congestion pricing. Talk about sanctuary city. Lake and Riley. Zeros in. Give me a name. Give me something. Got it. We got to understand these things. And President Trump cannot get away from it. He needs his. And I'm going to tell you something right now, which is what I have been saying since 2016. And nobody has listened to me. Nobody. But I'm going to tell you. Listen to what I'm saying. The president needs to have a special By the way, Margot Martin is one of the best. Dan Scavino as well. But Margot Martin, or Martin, as they say, is one of the best videographers, photographers. Oh my God, he's walking through. She's got a real eye. She has an eye. Do you ever see this woman that the slums, what was it called? The slums of Calcutta. Did you ever hear this? It's a great documentary. It was about brothels and camera. It's called Streets of Calcutta. I forget the name of it. But the story was these fellows, just give me a moment, little side metaphor. And you'll see why this makes sense. These folks wanted to do a video or a movie of the brothels of Calcutta, or I think it was Calcutta, and it was India, but they couldn't get in. They're European types with loafers, and they go, get the hell out of this. So what they did was they took a bunch of these disposable cameras, they gave them to all these kids and said, listen, go out and take pictures, and they come back and bring us a film and we'll pay you, whatever it was. Well, they were doing the film and they said, okay, shots. And one was like, who did this? And this kid had an eye. Her cameras were. Anyway, I think it was the International Photography Center, 6th Avenue, IPC or whatever. She was famous because she had an eye. We have a relative who was the worst. Takes pictures of and you're like this. Wait a minute. I said, stop it. This is the moment. What I'm trying to say to you is that understand the moment. So what President Trump has to do is get a Margot Martin, get somebody and sit him down in the White House, always at the desk, and talk to us. Fireside chats. Not in front of people. No, I don't want you to read anything. Just tell us something. And I'm going to tell you something that is the best advice, and they will never take me on this one. But listen, and Melania can do it too, because they love Melania. They need to take you on a tour of the White House. You can say, listen, I know we have tours, but let me show you some places you don't know. All right? Do you ever see the kitchen? I've got 24 hours a day. Come here. And get Margot Martin, follow them down. Come here, I want to show you something. This is your house. Remember, this is your house. I'm just staying here. This is yours. Why they're keeping your house from this, I have no idea. This is, and you walk in, hello, folks. Hello, Mr. President. No, keep going. This is Angela, Mario. This is Freddie. How you doing? I brought him from Crispy Cross. I got Vivaldi over here. They're all preparing some. Anything you want. What would you like? It's the greatest thing in the world. What would you like? Look at these people. It's the most incredible. Okay. I would show them what the president, would you like to see the quarters? They're yours. You paid for them. The Situation Room. I said, I can't show you this, but I can show you this. Here's something. See the Marine in front? We can't talk to him. If the Marine's in front of the door, it means I'm here. Did you know that? This is how you come into the White House. When you come into the White House, you come in, and this is where you go. Hello, Mr. President. No, I'm just showing people around. Do you know what that would do? Do you know when you go ding, 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 and you see this YouTube 16 million, 20 million hits? Forget that. What are you going to talk about? What? Capital gains tax? Nobody cares about that. Peanut, friendly. Give me a feeling. Give me a feeling. Give me a feeling. And I don't know what the story is about Barron. I don't know if he doesn't want to talk. I don't know if he's shy. I don't know. But I'm telling you, this kid is the secret weapon. And don't mention his height once. Mr. President, I'm telling you. Maybe he doesn't want to. I've never met him. I've seen him in the room with him, but he's big. But I'm tired of that. What is he, Andre the Giant? He's not. On an NBA team, he's a point guard. He's nothing. Anyway, that's what it is. Listen to what I'm saying. The thing that got people loved Trump. They couldn't tell you why. It wasn't a reason why. It wasn't, well, because of this, because of your good. No, it was this. And they have not played up. They have not talked yet enough about the assassination attempt. I want to get some professionals in there, and I want the medical. Oh no. Oh no. We're not done with that one yet. Fight. Sometimes the president, because he's a very brave person, he kind of makes light of it, like, well, say, no, don't make light of it. It's very serious. Politics is not. Let me give you an example. Karate Kid. I get the weirdest inspirations. Mr. Miyagi says, Daji-san, karate is here, never here. I'm not pointing to my guguts, it's never visceral. Head, heart. Politics is visceral. It's never head, never heart. It's Neanderthal. It's weird. It's primitive. You're reacting to things. It's sexy and this and that. It doesn't matter. Placate people. Do me a favor and let's work on our good friend, the influencers. I would, and I respect Laura Loomer a lot because I like her spunk, like Mary Tyler Moore, and I like the fact that I just like her. That Caitlin, whatever her name is, Collins, right? She does. Laura Loomer. Sometimes she's, gone, which I'd rather calm her down than calm her up. But I wish somebody would say, Laura, yeah, please hold for the president. What? Laura, this is your president. Yes, Mr. President. I want to talk to you about the Pam Bondi thing and the Epstein thing. You got a minute? Yeah. Is there anything you don't understand? I'm not telling you what to do, but is there anything I can do to maybe help you out with this one? Maybe you got some questions or something like that? Because you do know that Pam Bondi cannot go on and say, here's what happened. Here's what's going on. You understand this, right? And I'm going to take you into relative confidence. This was not a mistake, Laura. This is not a mistake. Because when Pam Bondi the other day said, we're going to release this, a whole bunch of stuff happened that I can't tell you about. And that's why we had to say, okay, never mind. We had to make it. I couldn't say, thank you. Laura, it's the way I work with tariffs. People say, oh, your tariffs. No, I threaten people with them. And then everything's fine. So I put them on hold. I get what I want. I didn't fail. I know what I'm doing. Pam Bondi is just one of the smartest people you're ever going to meet. And she couldn't go on and say, listen, ever since we threatened this, we've got more. So we had to back off. So Pam will take the heat. Kash Patel, whatever it is. But it was mission accomplished. Do you understand that, Laura? And I really like Laura Loomer. I like her style. Deep down inside, anybody who's out there who's fighting, even Gut Bucket or whoever, anybody who's out there opining, I respect them. I mean, I'd be crazy about them, but I respect them. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. Rudy Giuliani, one time when he was mayor, it's the most incredible. One time I got a call from, I was doing WABC in the morning, and I got a call from one of his assistants. He says, the mayor would like to talk to you about such and such. I said, well, tell him he can call me. He goes, no, he's right here. I said, oh, okay. And Rudy Giuliani said, and I'll never forget, it was something about, it was almost like, it was about this senator named Tom Dwayne. It wasn't a big deal, but he wanted to clarify because it was big in the news. And he says, I want you to understand it. He said, I want you to understand it. And he didn't tell me, I want you to say this, but he thought enough to say, I want you to understand it. And if you have any questions, call me. He's like, okay, why would I care about that? Doesn't matter. What he's saying is like, thank you, Mr. President. And guess what I said? Not because he told me. I had an understanding because he told me this. Years ago, one time, Mario Cuomo called me up because he heard me say something. He said, if ever you have any questions, see, that's smart. That's a guy who really, Biden wouldn't want to get into that. Kamala Harris, these people are hands-on. Laura Loomer has more. I would make sure, Mr. President, we got to work on Laura Loomer, Steve Bannon. I don't like where they're going with this. They're okay. They're friends, but we got to kind of, okay, good. That's what we'll do. Don't ignore them. Because once they are felt, also do not show preferential treatment for certain influencers and not others. Do not do that ever. Everybody's big. Everybody's important. You understand what I'm saying? Brad Alpin said, Peanut the Squirrel, Trump's trusted insider, fell for the propaganda, never realizing Ronald Reagan, the 1980 MAGA creator, had started it all. Peanut the Squirrel, Trump's trusted insider, fell for the propaganda. I don't know what that is. It's interesting. Raul says, is the interaction between animal and human love? I'd say yes, without getting into the specifics. Cut Up Chatter says, all it took was one acorn and the ice age reversed. Yes, it's almost like the metaphor about the butterfly wing. Pilgrim says, let's remember Fred the Raccoon, Peanut's brother. Oh, yes, thank you. Peanut's brother, Peanut's butter. There you go. My grandmother used to always say Peanut's butter. And we used to always say, none, that's peanut butter. She goes, was there more than one peanut? Yeah, well, there you go. That's the part that I love. I love this. The other day, let me tell you something. Little DJ Daniel with the badge, his father holding him aloft, lifting him up, proud of his son. Brilliant. And then, in a move that I'll never understand, the idiots of the left decided we're going to mock him. We're going to mock him. God. You can't ask for that. You can't ask for that. They have got to bring up, I'm not going to show you this because it makes me sick. This Dylan, whatever, the tampon thing, and just do this. Tony Schwartz. Tony Schwartz was a great genius who put together the Daisy ad for LBJ. Genius. Never said anything. They just did it. Let you do the math. Let you figure it out. This is about emotion, psychology, collective. We need this. We are in the driver's seat. Do not lose focus. There's a lot going on right now. Mr. President, you need the office of image, propaganda, whatever you want. I don't even want you. But you need somebody to say, we're going to have to do this. Always. Never forget Peanut. Never forget Daniel. Never forget any of these people. Never forget Lake and Riley. Never forget this girl who has suffered brain damage being attacked. So is Peanut the anti-white Willie Horton? The anti-white, the anti-Willie Horton. Yes, that was the great. That was Lee Atwater. I want to get Europe. I want to get the thing that Reagan did it. Morning in America. Remember that? Reagan is it. Good morning. And it was this guy, he's waking up and good morning, Dave. And there's a diner and they got the dollar bill in the frame and they're pouring the coffee, reading the paper. It's morning in America. And they're pulling up they're pulling up the flag. And there's this guy with the kid on the bike with the, I don't even know who does this anymore, but the kid on the bike with the newspaper route. These things you say, newspaper route. Eagle Scouts, these images, these wonderful memes and memetics. It's beautiful. Oh, let me tell you something. It's that's the thing. This is what March of Dimes did. FDR, March of Dimes. Crippled kids. When he finally said, okay, I'll show it to you. He was still the Reagan was, I don't know, Reagan, FDR, but Trump, no. Trump did two things. Trump got his base, but then he extravasated. It leached. It moved out of the, what do I say? It moved out of the cell, so to speak, and leached. If that makes any sense. It leached out. And people became a part of it. People became aware of it. People became not how good he was, but then how bad everybody else was. Do not kid yourself. There is a God because God gave you Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. If God had says no, it's Gavin Newsom, it would have been a different story. Trump could have still won, but it would not have been this. No. Because Gavin Newsom could have gone and lied because Biden had the record and so did Kamala Harris. JT says, should I call chemtrails stratospheric aerosol injection or no? What would John Brennan say? Never call them chemtrails, call them geoengineering. Geoengineering. Now let me ask you something too before we forget. And I think I'm going to do this on my private channel because I don't feel safe talking about this. There's something weird going on here, and that is let me see, where do we have this here? This is let me see, where do we have this? Ah, yes. I'm going to give you a little bit of this. The Biden, the Hamptons fire. Who is this? Let me see. Where do we? I have some very good stuff about this. This was some good. Let me see. Because I'm gonna throw some stuff at you. Now, when I tell you something, you're gonna have to go and look for yourself. I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you, again, I'm going to talk on my private channel because I don't want to talk about it now. But I want you to understand something. You know, we have these things called these fires in the Hamptons, right? Okay. I want you to listen to, and I'm not saying this is connected to it. No. But I'm going to give you a little background, which is something to think about. There is a very kind of a secret DARPA-funded project, codenamed Project Helios. Helios. Have you heard about this? This allegedly conducted as a scalar wave emitter. And some people are saying, and I'm just hearing things. Did it come from this Montauk area? Is it around Camp Hero? I'm looking into it. Now, these are very interesting. Did you know that these devices, this is a different topic. Did you know that these devices, which are disguised as a meteorological radar, they're purportedly designed for weather manipulation and electromagnetic warfare? Did you ever hear this? However, according to sources within the intel circle, something perhaps might have gone wrong. See, what happens is, if you're trying to, let's say, destabilize a pocket of dry, low humidity air, and if you're superheating it to, let's say, 1200 degrees centigrade within seconds, this could trigger multiple spontaneous combustion points. I'm just going to leave it at that. And there's all kinds of weird, different forensic clues and EM spikes and NOAA data and EMP pulses and when you hear this, so that's something to put over here. Again, I don't want to talk about it here now, but I do it on my private channel. Here's another one. I've been thinking about Anne Heche a lot. Remember, in August the 5th, 2022, Anne Heche, she was driving her blue Mini Cooper, and it crashed into a house in Mar Vista, Los Angeles. It ignited a fire that consumed both. And there are so much stuff I don't even want to talk about. I'll talk about it on my private channel. It is the information, and by the way, the information that is here is right in front of you. Nothing that I'm saying, nothing has anything to do with, well, let me dig deep down. No, it's here. And it makes you think like, what? Once I tell you something, remember going back to weather, remember HARP? We always look at high auroral atmosphere, whatever it is. Heating ionospheres, doing things with heat, pulse, right? They said you were crazy. Weather manipulation has been something which has been done for forever. So what I'm saying to you is simply this. And I want you to listen to me, and you got to answer this question. Do you want to sit back and say, well, if somebody tells me, I'll listen. If it's in a video, I'll listen. If it's on YouTube or Rumble or Bumble or I'll listen. But I'm not going to research. I'm not going to lift a finger. I don't research. I don't read. I don't do that. But if you want to give it to me, I'll pay attention. And I'll forward it on. That's how most people are. They say, I don't want. It is right here. All you have to do. You have options. You have the best right now researching with ChatGPT or anything. Grok. It will blow your mind. People say, no, I'm not that interested. You have to show it to me. JTE says, do you know of HARP? Before HARP, check it out. See? Where is this? Since the beginning of time, since Rain Dance. Remember the great Burton Cummings and Guess Who? Phoebe said to Don the Baker, can you show me how to make it to the bun, Don? And I'm just sitting with my next door neighbor saying, where'd you get the gun, John? Since the Rain Dance, since Cohen, Defense Secretary Cohen about manipulation, we've been doing this. This is all here. So in conclusion, an hour and 17 of this, minutes of this. Where am I going with this? My friends, it's all here. It really gets interesting right now. You can sit back and you can sit there and say, okay, show me a clip and I'll laugh at it. Show me a video and I'll watch it. Show me something, because this is where we are right now. We're like this. That's what kids are. Boom, boom, boom. I'm not going to go look. If you give me this phone, then I will only do either this. I guess is that. I don't know what this, but I'm going to swipe or I'm going to watch the video, and that's it. I have a friend of mine who's a 4th grade teacher, and she says kids do not know how to read because they can't track, because it's all blasting. It's all here, my friends. Everything in front of you. They shot satellites into orbit, first HARP. Well, tell us more about this. JT, don't give us a little sentence. Tell people where to go with this. Look at it. I want to inspire people. I want people to say, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I promise you, most people will say, this is the greatest story of all time. This is the greatest story of all time. There's so many of them. And what I need to do is I need to find out, how do we inspire interest? And that's why I have to come up with these peanut stories, because that's the only way people will understand, because it's simple, it's bumper sticker, and that's that. So let me ask you this. So, dear friend JTE, thank you. Pilgrim Media, Matless X, thank you. Cut Up Chatter, Raul, Bradley Opland, and Ricardo, thank you for that. Make sure you follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Make sure you go to we did a live, we may do another live Lionel Legal today. Those are kind of fun. I get into a different mindset regarding that. And also, this is very interesting. I'm going to do this one later. On the, how do I say this? On the, I guess the story of the private channel. Lionel Media is where I go. I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. I can say whatever I want and really get into, because the Anne Hayes story, Seth Rich story. How about this one? Remember this guy? Let me give you a name, and I'm sorry, I forgot, and I must refer to it. Do you remember this name? His name was, let me see this. Let me see. His name was, Tafari Campbell. You know who that is? That was the chef. That was the Obama person. Just kind of, psst. Nobody looked. Nobody cared. Nobody. Isn't that something? Isn't that weird? Nobody. Anne Hayes, Michael Hastings, another one too. These Project X stuff, like, wow, these cars just speed up out of nowhere. Yep. Should we look into that? I think so. Are people going to look into it? No. And it's not, look, I'm not pointing fingers, but it's not who we are. Follow this right now. This is from my YouTube, my X account. Follow me at Lionel Media. Follow it there. Because I can get into detail. I can talk about stuff, because somebody somewhere says, well, that's not validated. And it's not that it's not validated, but they'll point to, they'll point to a Snopes article or something. And I don't know whether these people have gone away. I don't know. In any event, dear, you've got to study, be an autodidact, be self-taught. It's all there. Have a great day, my friends. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Don't forget Peanut. And don't forget about getting to the heart of people. Getting to the heart. That's what politics is. It's not about explaining QR or CR like Bannon talks, but that's not it. It's not going to do it. Get to the heart of it. Explain why something should mean something. In any event, have a great day. And don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dad.